Could this next guest make it to the UFC as both a fighter and a promoter?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event.
Live from HBF Stadium Festival Hall. Melbourne Pavilion.
Not even backstage, we're literally outside.
Was that the best fight card in Australian MMA history?
Call me crazy, but make sure you call me when I'm right.
Be good if the Aussie MMA Instagram page would give us a bit of glow up because we're killing it.
Welcome to the Australian MMA podcast. My name is Mitch Tilley, and today's guest, Robyn O'Neill, is an interesting one in the Australian MMA scene. She is both a fighter and a promoter of Proving Grounds Fight League, which is having their event, Proving Grounds Fight League 5, Southport Sharks, on August 3rd. She is also an amateur fighter herself. She is the sister of the great Casey O'Neill, who will be competing at UFC 305, and she is the daughter of the 2023 Australian MMA Promoter of the Year, Cam O'Neill, who runs Eternal MMA. So she's the daughter of Cam O'Neill, promoter. She's the sister of Casey O'Neill, fighter. She's both. We get her thoughts on all of that, what it's like living with those two great family members doing great things in both the things that you're doing. We also get her thoughts on Proving Grounds Fight League 5, what's to come, why Proving Grounds exists, and of course some of the critiques she gets, and if she's kind of doing all the work, and if she's not just the face of Proving Grounds Fight League. And look, she's a really strong character. This is what I like about Robyn O'Neill. She's kind of like no nonsense, man. She can shoot from the hip. She backs up what she says. She says a bit sometimes, which is good. Interesting guest, interesting person. She's going to do amazing things. So without further ado, someone in the comments said that I say it wrong. So further a Mountain Dew. Before we get on to our guest, we're going to hear from our great friends at PRP Global. And then on the other side, in 15 seconds, we hear from someone who is going to be a name that will not go away for a half a century to come in mixed martial arts. It's Robyn O'Neill. Fuel the fight with Australian-made MMA-inspired streetwear and support the next generation of MMA superstars. Delivering unprecedented support to the Aussie MMA scene, support PRP Global on their journey. 100% of profits go to the fighters. Check PRP Global out today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. A guest I've wanted for a very long time. It is the heir to the throne in both fighting and promoting, Robyn O'Neill. Welcome.
Hello, Mitch. Thank you for not wearing your gold vest.
That was, yes, quite the display when I was a ring announcer, and it was also a gold shirt. There was, yeah.
My apologies.
Now, a lot of people wouldn't know or would, and then try to discredit everything you do, but you are the daughter of the great Cam O'Neill, who runs Eternal, and the sister of the amazing fighter Casey O'Neill. First of all, I'll jump right into it. As both a fighter and a promoter, is it hard kind of, because you're not living in their shadows, but they are elevated in what they do? Yeah,
it's actually really funny because both professions that I'm trying to go into, one, my dad's at the top of one, and then the other, my sister's at the top of it. So it's kind of like, oh, I've done it to myself, but it's all right. I'm proud to be in their shadows and such.
And what was it like? Because the age difference between you and your sister is how many years?
Kitty's 4 years older than me.
So, and she was, doing quite well at quite a young age. And obviously your dad's been like killing it for what, at least, how long's Eternal been around? 10 years now?
It will actually be 12 years because I made my MMA debut on the 10-year, like to the day anniversary. So that was a really cool thing for that. Yeah.
You just grew up around this. I mean, did you have a choice?
Honestly, I had a choice not to fight. That's why I didn't fight for ages. I only started training maybe in 2020. My whole life I was playing like soccer. So I was playing different levels of that and just focusing on that. And I had a really good friend group growing up too. So I was interested in hanging out with them. Like people used to always say in the middle of Eternals, they would be like, oh, when are you getting in the cage and fighting next? And I used to joke around to my dad's mates and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to take his job, and would always like call out to take my dad's job. And then as I got older, started to like develop more as a person, I chose the road of fighting because I don't know, started having some bad friends, I guess. I wanted to do something different.
When did you first become introduced to it?
Introduced to me fighting, I was only about 19, but the sport, I think my dad started at 8 years old. And the sport did fascinate me, and I would always invite my friends like, come watch my dad's show, come watch my dad's show. But the thing that like fascinated me more about Eternal at the time was how the fuck has my dad put this all together? Like, there's just people scrapping in the middle of like school halls or the runaway bay. Like, I always thought that was really cool. And back in the day, when dad would have a show and then I would get like a present or something, this probably sounds bad. I'd be like, that is awesome. I need that. I need to be able to do this.
When did you go, I'm going to run a show?
I didn't say I was going to run a show until I was 19 as well, actually. And I was driving in the car and it was so funny because I gave my dad a call because I randomly came up with the idea. I was like, I should run an MMA promotion, like an amateur MMA show. And I called my dad. I was like, how would you feel about it? And he said, oh, I was going to suggest that to you. So we kind of like ran with the idea in parallel because since I was 8, I've done every job in Eternal except, no, I did do the photography once, but I've done every job except like the ring girl and stuff. So it just kind of made sense to make my own one. So yeah.
You didn't want to ring girl it?
Yeah, I was like, nah, it's not.
And in terms of, because Proving Grounds is doing very well, but it's also got a lot of similarities to the Eternal style. I guess people would often be asking, how much influence does your dad have? How much hands-on with Proving Grounds does he have?
This is the number one question I get. And I usually get pretty annoyed with it, but I also take it as a compliment. A lot of people do think I'm just the face of Proving Grounds and my dad runs all of it, but it's completely my business. At the start, when I was starting it up, I would ask dad help for more of the business side, some things that I didn't understand. But anyway, I do model Proving Grounds off of Eternal. Like, it's the number one show. Why would you not? Proving Grounds platform is to help amateurs prepare for the bigger stage. When you go like HBF Stadium, there's 5,000 plus people in it. Like, it's very daunting. So if I can give you as close of a feel to that before you get there, it kind of helps everyone out, you know?
How have you like funded the first show? Did you have to get a loan? These are all the questions that I guess everyone has, because to the world, you like, what 23-year-old or 19-year-old even knows what they're doing?
Dude, I still don't know what I'm doing. Half the time, like, I just say fuck it and run with an idea. But funding it, I used to have jobs and stuff. I still do have a job. But I used to work at World Gym Burley. I've actually got this on just now. And the money from World Gym Burley, I just saved it up and I put it into my show.
Being around Eternal, you knew all the hidden costs and things like that. What was your first show like in terms of financially? Have you ever gone, oh shit, that was a bust?
Thankfully not, which is good. And I understand that it's crazy for a business like not to lose money at the start, because I did open up another business across in Perth and I was like, oh shit, we're going to start losing some money. But I've just been very lucky that I haven't, which is good.
You're doing like nutrition, aren't you?
Yeah, but I had to put it on hold at the moment. I was doing it with Candiata and his partner, but we could just put it on hold at the moment as I've had to go out to America to deal with some things and do all that. But that was a good business model as well, so I was happy about that.
Have you always been sort of business savvy?
I would say so. Like, in Perth, do you guys do design challenges? When you're in primary school, do you know what a design challenge is?
Not that extent, no.
So design challenges, long story short, in Queensland, every year you would get one and you would just have to build something. I used to build like clay statues in year 5, all that sort of stuff. But in year 7, I actually decided to build a business for my design challenge. And I built like a scooter company, like a scooter merch company. And I created a whole business plan, made merch, like said I was going to sponsor these riders to get this like exposure. And I did that all by myself, like in year 7. So I've always wanted to like have my own money and never have to like work a normal job, I guess.
And what's sort of the advice that your dad's given you going into this?
I get a lot of advice from my dad all the time, but the main thing is how you do anything is how you do everything. And you just can't give a F what people say. You just got to go hard. Whatever you want to do, choose it and go hard. So that's all I've really done.
Is there anything that Eternal does where you go, oh, I can do that better, or I don't like that and I'm doing it differently here?
I always wind them up about that and just say like Proving Grounds does some things better when there's small slips. But honestly, as a business module, like as a whole of Eternal, they do everything pretty well. Except I'm joking.
Have you come to terms with the fact that you kind of always will be linked, fighting to your sister, promoting to your dad?
Yeah, but it's not a problem. It's like an O'Neill empire, I'd like to think. Like 10 years down the line, this video can be played and I bet you we're all going to be in completely different places and it's worked out, you know? All doing the same things, but like a lot further along. you know.
What is the goal for Proving Grounds?
I want to keep Proving Grounds as the feeder club for Eternal. So as Eternal keeps progressing into a bigger and bigger show, I will start to remove amateur fights off of Eternal and keep it very minimal. And then a couple more years down the line, just make it completely pro show. And then your way to the pro show is through Proving Grounds.
How are you going to balance the future with, I don't know, your own career? Is that something the path you want to go down, or do you want to go down more promoting?
I definitely want to do the fighting path more. So everyone says you can't put your eggs in two baskets, and for a while I have, but I definitely know as the time comes that I'm going to have to separate it. And I've already started to build a great team with Proving Grounds. We have a great team with Eternal. We'll just merge them together, and the businesses will be not self-sufficient, but my main job will just be matchmaking for Proving Grounds in the future.
And I mean, you talk about Eternal being number one, and they're easily one of the most consistent promotions outside, the UFC, PFL in the world. Like, they're so consistent, and I always love the narrative of Eternal. You start to build stars in Eternal, you see them fight for belts, and it all feels like this great ecosystem. In terms of like outside in Australian MMA, do you pay attention to other promotions, and what are your thoughts on Australian MMA?
It's not that I don't pay attention to other promotions. Like, if I see a cool fight, I'll definitely tune in to watch it. But as thoughts on like, if we're competing with other ones, I really just focus on like Eternal stuff. But if there's a good fight, I'll definitely tune in to watch. I'm not like not watching them or bagging them out or anything, you know.
Are you constantly scouting Eternal shows for your shows?
We work on the same systems because I do all the amateur matchmaking for Eternal. So basically, I just have one ecosystem of guys that I just go through and wrap them up in my brain.
And as a promoter, what do you think some fighters in Australia could do better in terms about going about their career?
Just fighting, dude. Honestly, just fighting. For amateurs as well, I think it's a crazy concept that amateurs turn down fights because they want to get a perfect amateur record or if they want an amateur title. My complete opinion on amateur titles is it's just a way to put more bums in seats for these promotions to sell like a smelly pub for an arm and a leg for your friend and family to come watch. Like, it's awesome to have an amateur title, but your amateur record goes away when you go pro. So the title's not going to be very, I don't know, relevant. But if it's something you're chasing, I'm not going to bag you out for it or anything like that. It's just not my style. But definitely people need to start fighting more and fighting each other.
So no, we're going to see no Proving Grounds amateur titles at any point?
No, we will not be seeing any Proving Grounds titles.
Will we ever see any pro fights on Proving Grounds?
I've been asked this a lot, and we could do it, but honestly, my business is for the amateurs. I would rather keep it as an amateur-friendly show. You get your C-class fights, you get your B-class fights. So it could be someone's been training for 6 months and they want to have a fight. We'll chuck them in the shin guards, the 7-ounce gloves, and they can just have a little fight, you know? I think it's best to just keep it on the one path, and that's my lane, so I'm not going to try to go out of it, you know?
This is because I know you're very competitive, and I know your dad's very competitive. I know you guys love each other very much. But at what point do you go, I'm going to try and beat you at this?
Oh, every day. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always giving each other a little bit of stick of trying to beat it, but yeah.
And in terms of your dad and what he's doing, you know him in a very different light. He is a very colorful character in Australian MMA. What's something that the public probably doesn't know about him?
I think there's a misconception that Eternal and Dad and Ben just pocket all this money from the make, but I think a lot of people don't realize, one, how many hours he works. Like, we don't have a team. It's Dad, Ben, Wen and Sohail, which is our like content creating team, right? It's just them. Dad does majority of the work and makes very little money from doing it, and everyone's like, fuck this guy, he's lining his pockets, this, but it's just not true at all.
I want to focus on the show and you, but kind of people always love to hear this sort of stuff. But I feel like your sister sometimes cops a bit of flack online. What do people not know about Casey and how hard she works and her career and what she's like behind the public eye?
Sounds like I'm just blowing smoke up all my family's ass, but it's true. It's how I feel. But the thing about Casey is, Casey came up in a time when like Australian MMA wasn't big. Her first coach told her to quit. Like, she's not that good. If she wanted to do it, she should, just do it for fun. Casey's done it all, like everything. She did it all by herself. She made it happen, and she got out there. And it's so unfortunate that she was on such a roll, and then she got MMA Rookie of the Year and had to suffer the ACL injury. So that was a lot for her, but I don't think people realized what you've actually got to do to make it there.
And we've got Proving Grounds Saturday, August 3rd, Southport Sharks. First off, what can we expect in this card?
Honestly, a whole lot of fun. Every Proving Grounds card, I feel I get really anxious a couple of days before because I'm like, what's going to happen? What if all the fights are bad? And honestly, I haven't really had a boring card yet. So I'm really excited to see what happens on this one. And the bottom of my card's actually stacked with all debutants. And that's what excites me the most because you never know what you're going to get with these guys.
Who's a real, I mean, I know you can't pick favorites, but who's someone to really look out for?
I think the Coleman event, Daz Kolovos versus Thomas Shellhammer. Thomas is maybe, I don't want to get it wrong. He's between 16 and 18, right? He's never gone out of the first round. He's 4-0, 5-0 versus a vet, and everybody knows Daz Kolovos is a fun fight. You can't put him away, so we'll see what happens with him on that one.
Yeah, I think he fought recently on Beatdown, and if you watch I think it was the jiu-jitsu exchange, how he just flowed.
Alex Ross, he submitted Alex Ross in the first round. Alex Ross is no scrub on the ground. That was insane.
Do you find, because I've found ever since I've covered Australian media, I've almost cared less and less about the UFC. Like, I've become such a nerd. Are you like that with the amateurs?
I would say as an Australian, like MMA as a whole, I love the UFC, but because I'm so invested in it all the time with just MMA as a whole, sometimes I won't watch cards because I'm like, I actually have no more brain capacity for this. But Australian MMA is definitely on my mind more than anything else.
In terms of an event, if you're heading into a Proving Grounds show, maybe you've been to an Eternal show at Southport Sharks, what is going to be different?
Well, one, there's not going to be a sweaty bald man running around. He gets there later. I don't know. It just feels a bit different. Like, I'm very hands-on with Eternal and I do a lot, but when it's my own show, it does feel very different. I take a little bit more pride in it. Not to say that I don't take pride in Eternal or anything, but I get a better sense of pride out of this show for sure. And a lot more anxiety, I would say.
And could we see Proving Grounds on Fight Pass?
It could be a thing. It could definitely be a thing. But at the moment, I just want to keep focusing on actually the brand itself and making sure I'm turning over shows for amateurs to fight on. I think my last show had 258 pay-per-view streams on the night, and it was across the 5 countries. So it's getting decent views online, but I don't know if it's big enough for Fight Pass yet.
Okay, I like that. And when it's all said and done, how do you want Proving Grounds to be remembered in Australian MMA?
It doesn't need to be remembered. It's going to be lived on. So it's just going to keep running. It'll be fine.
And finally, when it's all said and done, how does Robyn O'Neill want to be remembered in Australian MMA?
A little bit mean, but very funny and good at their job. I think that's what everyone says about me just now, that I'm a bit of a...
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're a little bit mean, but it's cool. That's what I like about you.
But I get things done, you know? You've got to be a little bit mean to get things done.
Oh, it's like I'm a little bit of a dick, but we all get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, any news, anytime you want to pop back on or send some fighters through, do hit me up. And yeah, Proving Grounds, check it out.
Exactly. Tickets still available on Eventbrite, PGFL 5. So close to being sold out again. Stat card from top to bottom. We got 12 fights, and it's going to be a good night. So if you're in the Gold Coast, make sure you come down. If you're not, stream it online.
Yeah, where's the stream?
The stream will be in the Instagram bio, probably around Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, beautiful. All right, Robyn, thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
guys.
tell your dad I said hi.
I will.